Hey, this is Russell, and I work at the video store, the place that you can go to every week when it's movie night. On days like today, we have our interesting customers pop in to rent something. We talk about the exciting things that they have going on in their lives, and we're always keen to hear what films that they've loved across their life. All right, let's do it. Let's open up the shop.
Did you see that thing yesterday on the TV? It was ready, interesting!
Good morning. Welcome to the video store. Thank you for wandering in to our lovely video store here. It's just me behind the counter. My name is Russell. I am the owner of the Bioscope, which is an independent cinema here in Johannesburg. And that's what keeps me busy when I'm not behind the counter here. Today on the show, we have ourselves another guest episode. We love these. We love showing you guys how the film is made, how the sausage is made, so to speak. And today we've got the crew, two members of the crew behind the film Lucky Fish. So we have Luke Rous, who is the producer, and Meren Reddy, who is both the writer and the star of the film Lucky Fish, which is a very exciting, very fun comedy that has had the privilege of opening the Durban International Film Festival now this month and is now in cinemas. And the Bioscope will be screening it, which is very exciting and fun. And we look forward to bringing some comedy and bringing some laughs, especially ones that are authentically South African. And all right, let's waste no more time. Let's get into it. This is Luke and Meren popping in to rent something. How's it, guys?
Are we rolling?
We're rolling.
Oh, cool.
Ching-a-ling-a-ling. Hi. We are in a video store.
What a nice video store.
Welcome, guys. How are you doing?
Great. I'm having a good day. Thanks for having us.
Is it a good day?
Yeah. I mean, tomorrow we have a pretty big thing happening, and there's been a lot of activity.
What's happening tomorrow?
Tomorrow we're flying down to Durbs.
Okay.
And we are having the premiere of our film, Lucky Fish, which is opening the Durban International Film Festival.
Okay, you guys are the opening night film.
That's it.
You know.
That's amazing.
And then we've got another sort of independent premiere that we're doing more for like the public on Friday.
Where's that going to be?
That's at the exact same cinema.
In Durban?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the 17th is for the Lanis, the industry,
the diff industry people,
and the politicians and whatnot, and then the 18th is for the plebs.
We've done
Well, that's bad. I should say.
No, well, you've recorded it now.
It's fine. I've gone to Diff once. Daryl, the guy I started the Bioscope with,
I was going to ask.
He did a bit more film festival, traveling and trips and things, and I was more the housewife that looked after the Bioscope when he was away, and I enjoyed it. Have you guys done Diff before?
I've done it quite a few times.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember Diff runs a couple programs. They're in collaboration with Berlinale. They have the Talent Campus. So there's the Berlin Talent Campus, then there's one in Sarajevo and one in other places and Durban. And I was a member of the Talent Campus in 2012.
Okay. That like helps incubate and create stories, create films.
Well, it's a training program, and you can apply as an actor or a producer, director, writer, musician, critic. It's really very diverse and wide.
Okay.
And I remember on that, I mean, it was amazing. Like quite a few of the members who were part of that cohort have gone on to have illustrious careers. And they had Tom Tikwer was the director who flew out, the guy who did Run Lola Run and Cloud Atlas, and an amazing director. He came in for that and was kind of the mentor to
That's
our
cool.
cohort, and it was really great to see him and meet him. But the project I had, you have to apply with the project, and the project I applied with is the one literally just finished shooting a week ago. So
Oh, really?
it's taken a while, but we finally got there.
I think it's amazing just the timeline, and we often talk about that in the video stores. Like, when did this shoot? When did you do this? When did you do that? Because I think people forget that unlike a song that can be sort of banged out in the morning with the right recording equipment and the right lightning in the bottle,
Yeah.
film takes an army and takes many, many years of your life.
I mean, I thought Lucky Fish took a while because we started writing in 2017, but I was reminded as Luke and Josh went into production for Breed van die Jaar just recently that thing was like started in 2012.
Yeah, it started a long time ago. These things, I mean, you're not working on it constantly. You're like, tinkering every now and then when there's an opportunity that arises, an AFP or RFP from a broadcaster, hey, we're looking for this type of thing.
What does that stand for?
Request for proposal. So
Okay.
if say,
Like a brief.
a brief comes out, then you look on your shelf and be like, okay, what have I been working on?
That certainly helps, because whenever one is dealing with sponsorships or any kind of money of other people, whenever it feels like it's more their idea, they're often a little more generous. As opposed to you going, hi, I want to make this movie, and them going like, I don't know.
It always
Luke,
starts with that, though.
It's the you say on your shelf or whatever, but like remember that thing that we said when we were in college. I have various 9 words. What's the 9 words?
My brother studied in the States.
Oh, there
at USC,
Josh.
and he came back with this book by a guy named Dov S.S. Siemens, it was kind of like a how to make a movie. It wasn't great, but there was one key piece of information I took out of it, which is that any producer must know 9 words and be able to say them. I have multiple projects in various stages of development. You just have to have things on the go all the time.
Constantly in different.
And you don't know which stick in the fire is going to ignite,
Yeah. So, Luke, you're the producer.
That's it. That's me.
Okay. And then your brother,
Josh.
is the director.
Yes.
Okay. And we want to talk about Lucky Fish primarily here. This is the movie that's opening at TIFF. This is the movie that's going to be in cinemas, including the Bioscope.
On the 25th of July.
From the 25th of July. It also got selected. The Bioscope every year hosts a selection from TIFF. And Lucky Fish is a part of that.
Oh, cool.
We've got a few touch points, one of which is in the soundtrack.
That's right. It was such a circuitous way of figuring it out, but Russell is part of the band Short Straw.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we feature
Oh my goodness.
we feature the amazing song Bikini Weather in Lucky Fish.
Yeah. And so that was very cool to come along. And it was just this, I knew you, and I also want to talk about our first meeting. Luke.
You know that you and I then met in 2013 without knowing, because
Okay.
Short Straw was the soundtrack for Shotgun Garfunkel, which was the fastest film ever made
Yes.
in 2013. And
We
I think
were
you guys actually performed on stage in one of the scenes.
Did we?
It was in a bar. I remember that scene, yeah.
I don't know whether we were in the movie. I just know that the soundtrack was a part of that.
Yeah,
because
there were
Brian
many,
and Asher are good
Brian and
friends.
Asher, yeah, exactly.
And they were just like, we just need as many songs as possible.
Yeah, and you guys just, like, everybody just pulled together within like 10 days. To do it,
Shotgun Garfunkel was a very cool movie, and it was a fun exercise done by guys who've actually been on the video store, Brian and Asher.
Very talented.
Your team best, right?
Team best.
Yep.
We had them on the show to talk mostly about wine, because they are the guys who
Duos,
started
right?
Duos Wine.
Yeah.
So speaking of other great ideas, these guys had an idea, which was how quickly can we make a fully fledged feature film to set a record?
It's so weird because that I know that they were the focus of the podcast, but actually it was Johnny Barbazano, Tiffany Barbazano, and
Yes.
I we got together and we were like, the Indians did it in 11 days and 23 hours. What can we do? And we were stressed. We were like, cool,
so
we're going to do it.
It was your idea.
It was more like Johnny and Tiffany. We were in a point in our careers where it felt like there was a lull. Johnny was starting something in about like 3 weeks. Tiffany had just had her baby and she was itching to get back into acting.
Okay.
And I had a writing house that was it was in a hiatus. And the three of us were at Johnny's house and we were like having a couple of drinks or whatever. And I don't know how they knew Asher and Brian, but
Yeah.
they did. And as soon as the tequila was flowing over, this thing
Yeah.
happened, and then Brian and Asher very quickly, I think right then and there, we called them, and I didn't even know who they were, and all of a sudden, like
You were making this
3 days
movie.
later, we're all around a table.
It's such a lovely movie, and it's a shame that I don't think it's that readily available. Where one can't watch it anywhere, hey?
Well,
I think it was sold to the
Mnet,
multi-choice library, the Africa
Okay.
library.
but
All
I
right, so
can't
it's
really
sort of
see it anywhere.
Stuck somewhere.
We'll figure it out.
Shotgun Garfunkel. We must get it back.
Anyway, but let's get back to
No,
Lucky
no, no.
Fish.
But it's just cool because I've been doing a lot of reflection. The Bioscope turned 15 now this last month,
Woohoo!
and
Congrats.
the moment you just look back on the thousands of films we've screened, one of which was Shotgun Garfunkel.
Well,
It's
we needed you guys because in order to break the record, you had to get it to a paying audience. So I don't know, like you said it at like 20 Rand or whatever.
I think we made it super cheap.
super
Yeah.
cheap. But the way it ends, the clock stops when the movie starts in front of a paying audience, and you could bring a person from Guinness to follow you for the 10 days or whatever, but you could pay a large amount, or you have to document it
Yes.
yourself. And so we did it, and we had a little clock in the corner,
Oh, that's right.
and we stopped it as the movie started.
How long? Okay, just to wrap up Shotgun
Yeah,
Garfunkel,
sorry,
because it is
sorry,
worth.
sorry.
No, but it
No,
is
it's
worth a
fine.
mention. How many days did you do it in?
It was 10 days, 10 and a half hours. We only held it for a year but I believe we made a good movie because the Namibians broke it a year later
'Cause
in
that's
like
the-
9
yeah.
days.
But
But
you
the
can make a
movie,
shit movie.
was like, ooh, you know.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Tell me about Lucky Fish. Where did this germinate? Where did this start?
Hey, it started with multi-choice actually. Craig Gardner is one of the co-writers of Lucky Fish, and he was commissioned to do a pilot for multi-choice.
I think it's significant to say that Craig Gardner created Suburban Bliss.
Oh, that's important to
Yeah.
mention.
Yeah, a very, very funny director and writer. And he multi-choice paid for this pilot for something called Miss Pilchards at the time. It was very different.
Was it originally going to be a TV show?
Yeah, it was a TV show. So they did a
A
pilot episode.
mockumentary, like in the vein of The Office.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And then that didn't go, but there was a clause in the contract that said, the producer has the right to buy back the rights. And so then, 7-8 years ago, Meren and Craig started working together, and Meren had the idea of like, I really like this Miss Pilchard thing, but it would be great for an Indian audience.
The important thing was the way it was framed was it was two characters, a husband and wife, who were doing a beauty pageant and just happened to car crash with a guy who owned a Pilchard's company.
Okay.
And he was not the focus of the thing. He just kind of came on board and is very much in the background in that version where he's like putting pressure on them because he's sponsoring it now because they can't pay his
But let's not
insurance.
focus on
Sorry. So it was very different, and it was a mockumentary, and it followed something completely different.
Sure.
When Craig gave it to me, I told him he didn't realize how meaningful tin fish is to an Indian community.
Okay.
Tin fish sandwiches on a beach is something that every Indian person goes through, and you joke about it, like aunties with biryani pots and stuff coming to the beach, which is ludicrous, but it happens. But tin fish sandwiches tin fish curry is incredibly significant to an Indian market. So I was like, we're going to pivot the whole thing now.
Okay. So what is this movie about? Because I think it's worth mentioning, and I will own the fact that I haven't had a chance to watch it. There was one point, as we said, when Short Straw was going to be on the soundtrack, and I think we'd agreed on everything. I think we'd maybe even sent through the paperwork, and then I was like, what's the movie about?
It's not
And I was-
pornography,
and
is
I
it?
sort of said something like, what's the scene? Like, I think that should be some due diligence.
Yes.
I knew you, Luke, so I trusted you, and I had faith that the movie was great. But there was a part of me that was like, wait, what's this about? And you were like, it's going to be in a scene with the sardine run.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a great scene in the film, but let's set the
Let's
set the tone.
We call it the back of the box here at the video store,
All
which
right,
is
yes.
what would be what you would read or see on the back.
I think the
So-
technical term for that is the blurb,
The blurb, but yeah, we've got our name for
right?
it.
So the blurb
The back of the box.
the blurb of Lucky Fish follows Sanjay Pillay, who's a tin fish Pilchards company owner in Durban, in Phoenix. His company's not doing very well. It's a family-run business, and
It's competing against Lucky Star and Glenrix and stuff. It's like this tiny.
Okay.
When we meet him, he's like paying his debts in cases of his tin fish.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to take his debt. He's in debt to loan sharks up to his neck. And so he gets this idea to sponsor a beauty pageant to try and, raise awareness about his Pellé's pilchards, tin fish, and hopefully get some sponsors and some money coming in for his business. And he ropes his sister in to do it, to help him with it, Samantha. She's not too keen because she has a 10-year-old daughter and she doesn't like the idea of objectifying women in a beauty pageant. But when she sees her 10-year-old daughter looking with kind of, desire and angst at the TV screen of another beauty pageant, she says, yes, I'll go ahead and do it because I want to prove to my daughter that every woman is beautiful. And I'll only do it if it's an all-inclusive beauty pageant.
So they have the idea to put on a beauty pageant as a way to help save money.
He wants
raise
PR.
money.
It's a PR exercise.
He wants to do the pageant because he believes that there is advertising that he will get out of this, and sponsors will come on board, and his company will be saved. She wants to do it because she believes that the way that beauty is presented to the world is wrong, and it's affecting her daughter, and she feels it's an opportunity to prove to her daughter that every woman is beautiful in their own way.
Yeah.
But he does not hear as long as it's open to everyone. He's just like, yes, you're on board now. I can move on with my life. I'm gonna, everything's gonna work out.
Then he pitches up to judge the first round of contestants that his sister has organized. And, this is not your typical beauty pageant fare. One is in a wheelchair, another has bandages wrapped around her face, a third one is heavily pregnant, another one is really quite large. And, these are all women from the community who Samantha thinks is beautiful. And he's like, what are you doing? You're going to ruin my company. This is bad PR. Tries to get out of it, but then the press catch wind of it. They love the story. And he can't, he has to double down. He can't back out.
It's almost got like full Monty energy.
Yes, I'd say that's a good.
You got the old men doing the calendar shoot or the strip show. And
Yes,
it's the
exactly.
same energy.
Yeah.
Meren, you're acting.
I was.
He's the lead actor.
I
Yes.
was pushed into it. Yes.
Okay, so you were originally set to be the writer of it, eh?
I was going to write and produce with Luke. That's all I was.
Meren
in
is
for.
an amazing actor. In fact, where we met was in acting college at AFTA just up the road here.
Okay.
And we did a sitcom called City Sessler back in the day. Maybe it's 20 years ago now. And that led to 5 seasons and was a big success. But we've since kind of stepped away from acting a little bit more.
2019 was the last acting gig I did. I was in Trackers.
Yes.
And after that experience, I was like, with Luke, I was like, there's so much more control on the other side. I feel more comfortable there, and I hate the limelight, and it's just like, I hate all of that stuff. It's better to be in my little writing hole. Luke believes in the stuff that I write. I can do that. He'll produce it, and that will be our relationship,
Yeah.
But then when we started getting some traction around Lucky Fish and the money started coming together, I was like, bro, you got it. There's nobody else who can do this. It has to be you.
But I didn't write it for me. I wrote it for another actor, and I wrote the words because I knew what he was capable of. So it's a thicker Indian accent. He's more part of the community, like all done, right? And then Luke and I kind of had a weird conversation with Amazon Prime, I feel, and Luke got off the call and he was like, dude, they're kind of insinuating something here if you don't do it. And so we had a conversation about it, and I was like, fine, I'll do it. But then what it took was complete rewrite, like
Okay.
What the other actor could do, I could absolutely not pull off. With those words in my mouth wouldn't work.
Meren is by his own admission, like not very
the least Indian.
Sure. No, but listen, okay. I love this. It's almost reminding me a little bit of Brett Goldstein, who comes into all his projects as a writer and then always ends up sort of having to act it. He wasn't meant to be. What's that? What is his
Fleabag? He's in Fleabag?
No, like the character, the grumpy main guy in Ted Lasso.
Oh, okay.
Roy Kent. He wasn't meant to be Roy Kent.
Okay, yes.
Until eventually it was like, okay, only one guy can do this, and it's him, because he's kind of been at
Very
the helm.
specific, yeah.
of it. How Durban are you, Meren?
Not at all. I'm born and bred in Joburg. I mean, up until we shot there, the most I've maybe went to Durban like 5 or 6 times in my life, and I spent like 2 or 3 days there. Like this was the longest
You have
stretch.
a lot of
I'd
extended
ever-
family that have
sure, but
connections
just
there.
your
I suppose, but I mean, I'm not even connected to the extended family. Like,
I mean, that was
you
a
know.
big concern. We were worried about that. But, the rest of the cast really fill out that Durban space for us. Mayuri Naidu and Jack Devnarain and Kazran
Kazran
Pillay
Pillay.
and
yeah.
Jaloshni
Naidu,
Naidu is fantastic and has a huge following in Durban.
Yeah, it must be worth mentioning that Durban needs some love,
Yes.
and it needs some spotlight. It needs
Not
some
just
attention.
Durban, though. It's Phoenix specifically. We shot in
Okay.
Phoenix. Every time I told somebody, hey, we're going to shoot
Okay, I
a
was
movie in
about to say.
Phoenix, they all gave me that eye roll. Are you really sure?
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
worried about it. I mean, we had enough budget for security, but the community of Phoenix really embraced us.
Well, wasn't that the whole point of why Phoenix got some press recently? It was the fact that they stood up for themselves.
Shucks,
Am I getting that right?
I'm not familiar
So-
with
that
that.
was
so sorry.
that was during the riots.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
during the riots, Phoenix
Yes.
was
How-
one of those towns that, like,
Held a line.
yeah, they like the
yeah.
community came out with guns. If I'm
Yeah,
not
that
mistaken.
old lady. That there's a picture of an old lady with the
That's
a
how-
gun, a shotgun, and the shotgun shells.
The ammo
And
vest.
I'm not sure, but I think she's actually wearing a sari. It is the most incredible picture.
That's my only knowledge of Phoenix was that. I
Well,
never really had much.
It
else
is a
to-
beautiful community. Everybody kind of, when you think of Durban and Indian, you kind of automatically go to Chatsworth, and that's had quite a bit of screen time with the Kanasami films.
Yeah.
But we just fell in love with it. It was a beautiful neighborhood. We went on this location scout, and we were looking for a park, and we stopped off at a bunch of different parks, and we found this one park, and there were the police officers for it was on a Friday, I think, and so they gather their troops together and have a briefing, and they were doing that, and we were just looking through the park, and this guy comes up to us and starts chatting to us. Is a captain or is he a
Yeah, I
lieutenant?
think it was a captain. Yeah.
And we tell him we're making a movie and we're looking for locations.
we
And
can't
he-
put on the accent. When
Like,
he
I'm not going to do that now.
please.
But he says, if you're looking for locations, you can come shoot at my house. I got a great house.
this is an Indian.
This is an Indian police
captain.
Police captain, that's right.
Okay.
Captain Moodley, I think his name was. And so we're like, cool, yeah, let's go check your house out. So the next day we pitch up at his house.
Yeah.
It is like a mansion, like a 3-story mansion, and on the top of a little hill in Phoenix.
Yeah.
He is. He's. Let me not say anything bad
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it,
yeah.
but
No,
it
no, no.
was the
Tread
perfect
lightly.
location, and he was so happy and welcoming to have us there. We ended up
amazing.
shooting. The first day of shoot was in his house. We
That's
shot
so
there
cool.
the whole day. So yeah, we had a lot of those experiences. We lost some of our locations, and the community kind of rallied around us and helped us find something.
Yeah.
So we had a great time. No crime. It was perfectly safe, and we were very welcomed.
Okay. Is some of the perception the fact that there is some crime in that neighborhood?
Yeah, and also it's like, I don't know how to put it. It's like Phoenix is kind of the metaphor for the movie in a weird way. It's like this
Okay.
thing that doesn't get paid attention to. Like Luke said, it's Chatsworth. Like Chatsworth and Phoenix, I believe, because I'm not that Indian, are the two large Indian communities, or at least where the, when the Group Areas Act or whatever, like where the Indian people were pushed to.
Yeah.
But Chatsworth seems to get a lot of love in terms
Okay.
of movies and, when you speak about Durban or whatever. And Phoenix feels like it's neglected. And
Okay.
when I was writing the movie, even Craig was like, no, but dude, like the Kandaswamy is like, Chatsworth. I'm like, no, really, let's focus a little bit more on
You
this
guys
thing.
have sort of dug a little deeper and gone into sort of more detail, which is great.
I mean, we feature other neighborhoods in the film. Durban North and the Promenade is featured heavily.
Yeah.
Um,
But Durban's had some tough times, eh?
it has,
With
yes.
that, I mean, they were the epicenter of those riots, which of course spread across the country.
And then the floods.
Then those floods, man. When you see some of those,
Bro,
those
they've
hills
been
that just
pummeled.
imagine
Yeah.
just having a garden, like knowing on your deed that you have a certain amount of sort of square meterage, and then like half of it just falls away. Like you just lose your land.
Yeah.
It's the wildest thing.
And it's adversely affected the poorest communities because they sit their informal settlements close to the river because
Yeah.
nobody's living
and
there.
nobody
and then
tells
the river,
them anything about a flood line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then the river raises and they just get their lives erased,
But it's lovely, and I that's what I do appreciate, and I think you know this because you've been in many of these circles, but you hear the speeches where they say we've got to tell our stories, and I mean it's important that we tell our stories, and you just like, if you were to play a drinking game at like a festival opening and you drink every time some some politician says that, you would be smashed.
Russell, it's amazing what you're doing to me. I was just saying to Luke outside, like, he was like, are you excited? And I'm like, I'm not, man. I'm like, it feels like so much pressure to put these premieres together and, coordinate all of it. But the way you're speaking now is actually like making me quite excited about tomorrow and Friday.
Yeah,
like,
well, you literally are doing
We
that.
are. We're telling our story.
This
It's a
is
completely local film made by local creatives who are all good friends with each other. And we received funding from those communities, from the KZN Film Commission. We got some money from them. We got some money from Cyril, the Presidential Economic Stimulus Program.
Good old Cyril.
Got some money from the NFEF.
Okay.
And the DTIC, when it was still functioning, we did get some money from them. And this is literally telling our story. And, we were heavily inspired by the Kanasamis. I remember watching that film with my wife. And I'm not the target market, but I was like, man, this is so much fun. It's just so joyful and colorful and new, and I hadn't experienced it before, and I developed an appetite for those type of stories. I think Jayan did a great job with that.
Yeah, man. And she helped. Listen, it's important that she helped us. That's what I'm saying. Like, everybody rallied. Like, we go into. Oh man, it was such a weird year last year. I was on the verge of leaving for LA to do a residency, but we had an 11 or 12 week pre-prod period. And so for the last 5 weeks, I would have been in LA. So right at the beginning of it, the first person I got a hold of was Jayan, and she shared her crew list with me immediately. She spent an hour and a half on the phone with me. These are the places you need to focus on. Shit. She also was like, dude, Phoenix, wow, I'm a little bit worried. But the amount of information that she gave us.
Was she the producer of those films?
She was the producer of Kanasamis, yeah.
Well, the director is one, the writer, and it's really her creative vision for those films.
How many did they make in the end?
I think they're on number 4 now. So
hey, man.
two in theatrical
release.
release.
It's a winning ticket.
Well, it was more than a winning ticket. It was a huge box office hit. The first one was 16 million, somewhere around there. The second one was 18 million. Then she sold the rights to Netflix, and they've done 2 or 3 there now.
I also think back a little earlier to a film like Material, which really got South Africa's attention. If done right, if smart, if slick, if endearing,
and during,
heartwarming.
And during that same period, a very gritty film, which for me was the redheaded stepchild to Spud, because the producers had the rights that were running out. That the rights were coming to an end, and Anand Singh was going to pick them up, but they had the rights to this book called 31 Million Reasons, and it was about the SBV heist that happened in 97, 98 in Durban. And so Material comes out, and then this movie comes out. But the interesting thing about Indian content is you wait 4 or 5 years, and then a new piece of Indian content comes out. Like, it's a starved market,
Yeah,
and they've kind of fallen through the cracks. I mean, you get every now and then you get a big marquee thing like the Kanasamis and hopefully Lucky Fish, but that audience still wants to be entertained. So you've got like the Broken Promises franchise. I don't know if you've heard of that.
No,
which is on number 4. It's movies like homegrown Durban-based Indian movies that with complete unknown actors, like just Durban people for that Durban audience. The first 3 they distributed themselves basically through DVDs, and then the fourth one. They had a big push and a theatrical release. And it's just they're telling their own stories, and they're
just getting it done.
But they are like nestled in the middle, like the Kings of Mulberry Street, the Kings of Mulberry Street 2, 3 Days to Go, Bianca's movie, The Honeymoon.
The Honeymoon. Yeah.
So they're all, but they're like these big splashes happen like once every 5 or 6 years, and then they all these little ones like sort of nestled in the middle.
Yeah, I also think it's worth mentioning. I remember it blew my mind is that we're not just talking about a significant Indian market. This is the largest diaspora of Indian people outside of India that live in KZN and in Durban surrounds. So it is a massive market.
Yeah, and it's
also spread across the country, and I just think that there's actually very close to us here is the Fordsburg, Mayfair kind of part of the world, also more green side. You can see these like little pockets of communities, which is amazing.
And the community is to a degree homogenous. I mean, the Bollywood content that people consume is, interesting because it has to appeal to an audience that really does not speak the same language. So a lot of it is dance and it's very verbose. Our South African Indian audience are like very family orientated, and so that is automatically, from a producer's point of view, like, great, this
And
is
humor is such a big part of South African storytelling
comedy and
as well.
family oriented. So like, these are people who come out, like the success of the Kanasami films, that was not just because it was, it was because there were repeat viewings.
Sure.
And it was because the corporate culture, corporates came and said, okay, we're going to buy cinemas and we're going to sell these tickets ourselves to our
cool.
employees.
That's cool.
And the Indian community gathered around this film to really lift it up. And we're hoping for the same.
Well,
we're seeing that already.
How lovely is it that did you say Joanne?
Jan.
That she was so willing to see you thrive.
Oh, man, she was so
I mean,
helpful.
that says so much about
Yo.
her as well.
She came to set. We had lunch together. We have
I
been
believe in
calling.
that juju. Hey. Yo.
I believe. Yeah. Sorry, we've been on calls almost once a week for the last maybe 6-7 weeks.
Bianca as well. Bianca Isaacs, who
Isaacs,
did
yeah.
Honeymoon and 3 Days to Go. She's become a good friend, and she also
And they
totally
don't have
helped
any
us.
literal skin in the game. They
No.
they literally just want to see this movie work.
Yeah, and they want to help you. The film community in Durban is quite small, so they want to make sure that they steer you towards the people who are going to help you the best, and that they protect you and help make sure that you're not going to get screwed over,
Yeah.
or that you really take the correct precautions as best as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely, man. Luke, you and I first met in the airport.
That's right.
In Cannes.
On the way back from
On the way back
Cannes.
from Cannes. That was the first time we ever met.
Yes.
You were doing something kind of similar in the sense that you were a part of some form of
So I had
incubator.
produced a short film for the
48.
Johannesburg 48-hour film festival,
Okay.
right? So that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
And that was the first time it happened in Joburg, and Meren was involved. Were you involved? I
No,
can't
no.
remember. No.
You won it in 2012.
Yes.
I won it in 2013.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Because this was 2011. It's the only time we've ever gone to Cannes was in 2011.
yes, and so our short film.
What is it? Valentine.
Valentine, that's
What a
right.
movie.
It was a great film. I really enjoyed that. And we won everything that year, but that's because it was the first time, and our film was clearly head and shoulders above everyone else. And then, so it got selected to represent at the Filmapalooza in Miami somewhere.
That's
and then
lovely.
the
Orlando,
top 10,
right? Orlando,
yes,
yeah.
yes, the top 10 short films then get a chance to screen at the Cannes Short Film Corner. And so my film was screening in Cannes, and I
Yeah.
managed to wangle the Alliance Française to pay for my ticket.
That's
And it was
lovely.
actually, I should not have gone, I realize in retrospect.
Yeah.
You were...
Wait, why? Because the corner, the short corner is actually what?
No, the reason was good to go, but Russell, you were there.
prepped.
Sure.
It is 65,000 of the world's top film creatives.
It's overwhelming.
It's completely overwhelming.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was not prepared, and I didn't have the support for it. I was living in Mandaloo-Lenapool, which is a half-hour train ride
Yeah,
into Cannes.
We by sheer luck got a sort of floor in literally we slept on the floor of a living room of someone who lived in Cannes. Thank goodness. It was a sort of friend of a friend. But
And I mean, I just remember the
if we didn't
overwhelming...
have that hookup, we would have been taking trains in. But
Bro, the feeling I got was just like, this is too much. I
Sure.
wasn't ready for it.
yeah.
Anyway, I went, and
Wait,
we
Luke,
met.
But now, just unpack. In what way? When you say unprepared by being overwhelmed, and unprepared because you didn't have material that you were going there to sell.
I wasn't trying to sell anything. I was trying to make some connections. So I had set up some meetings and was trying to work some stuff. Hey, I have the short film that's screening, and some people paid attention to that. But ultimately, being on your own, because I was there by myself. And having no support, and just this, it's like,
Sure.
if you
No,
are a
it's-
surfer and you're going into the biggest wave ever of your life,
You're just
you're
probably not going to go into it.
you're
Yeah.
scared. That's horrible,
Yeah. No, it's about it's like standing at the foot of the mountain, knowing that it'll take a lot to climb, and maybe you can just sort of hang around at base camp,
But
drink some hot chocolate.
I was so inspired by our conversation with you and Daryl.
Daryl, yeah.
Because you guys had met with Michelle Gondry, and you were trying to do that
Oh, whoa!
making the film thing.
Yeah, so we thought we needed to go to Cannes. The bioscope was about a year old at that point. I don't know why we sort of just, because the biggest part of it is the market. Obviously the world knows about the screenings and the
but the
competition,
market
but the market,
underneath,
which is effectively literally under the the main cinema
The marche du film.
is really what ticks the whole sort of film industry over in many ways, and a lot of deals are done there. And we thought that's where we needed to go to, like, get films to screen at the bioscope. And then it was worked out that the timing would be good because we were going to do this. Well, we were aiming to do this home movie factory, which is it was a big project devised by Michel Gondry, which was traveling the world at the time. It was inspired by the movie Be Kind Rewind, where he'd figured out this like big workshop filled with lots of sets and lots of ideas where someone could go in, person off the street, for free, and make a movie. But you're not making the world's greatest movie. You're just doing this for fun. It's the joy of movie making. And if we were to be in Cannes, the main guy from the Alliance or IFAS, one of the French agencies, he was there. Let's try see whether we can set up a meeting to kind of get his blessing. And we were able to meet him.
You told me it was like a 5-minute meeting.
Yeah, in a sort of lobby in a hotel, and it was.
That's
it
a
was
claim
delightful.
to fame, man.
No, it was lovely, and there's a photo of the moment. It's hanging out in the lobby. I'll show it to you when we finish this visit. And it was a lovely thing to see. And you at one point, obviously being part of the film market gives you certain accreditation, and you can go some places where normal just people who live in the town can't. And there was one great moment where there was a big flurry of shouting and calling towards a man that was sort of just walking very briefly past us with the sunglasses and a hat. And you realize, like, that's Jude Law. Because everyone else is, like, calling his name. And you're like, oh, shit, that's Jude Law.
So we're around the corner.
That's Cannes.
I'm driving here, and a lot of memories because AFTRA's right up there. But the refinery is a loft apartment. And Ryan Poole and Morgan Dingle used to live there. And Ryan came back with a story because he went to Cannes thinking he was a big shot. And something ridiculous like Edward Norton, he was like in a bar and Edward Norton was there having a very intense conversation with somebody else. And he tried to butt in and Edward Norton chewed him out.
Yeah.
To the point where, and Ryan was a big guy and he just crumbled and into the corner and he was like, that was his Cannes story.
Yeah.
It was a good Cannes because I went to the premiere of The Beaver by... who's it?
Oh, is that Mel Gibson and Jodie Foster?
And Jodie Foster, that's right. And it was Terrence Malick's...
Tree of Life was there.
Tree of Life was amazing.
So we watched Tree of Life. We were able to book like the press ticket so you could watch it early.
Yeah, I only figured that out on the day as well. To figure, you get a certain amount of points and they reset every 12 hours, so you can try and book tickets. But even if you booked a ticket, like you're going to spend an hour in the queue.
But you're watching these movies, like we watched Melancholia at about 8:30 in the morning.
Wow.
And people were getting so excited. More press were wanting to take spots. And they, of course, want a press person over just a market film person because press is more important than someone who's going to potentially buy it, funny enough, because you get more press, I guess. And so we got bumped out of our screening, and then they said, no, we've just added another screen. So we were running across the sort of like Cannes
it's crazy. It's madness.
Square
at
8:30. And I just said to Daryl, we laughed. We were like, nowhere else in the world will you be running at 8:30 in the morning for art house cinema. Like that just won't happen anywhere else. But yeah, Tree of Life, Melancholia, it was nice. Yeah.
Saw a film that I should not have seen. Actually, it's really scarred me. It stayed with me forever.
Which one?
It's called Michael, and oh man, I was waiting in the queue for it, and then they said, okay, the tickets are sold out, but don't worry, there's another screening. So I was like, okay, great. So then I waited for another hour for that screening, and it's about, this is getting really dark, but it's about a pedophile who has kidnapped this kid, and it's their relationship. It's just so disturbing.
No, there's dark stuff out there, and like some of the stuff's quite challenging.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's maybe just touch a little on some things. We're a video store. Have you guys got anything that you've watched recently that you want to return here?
My kid went onto the IMDb top 100 films, and he's making his way through them. So I'm rewatching a lot of incredible films.
What a cool kid.
Yeah,
Hey.
he rates them. He's got Interstellar used to be his favorite film.
How old is he?
He's 17, but he's been doing this since the age of like 14. We've been like making our way through films.
Oh, what a cool dude.
Yeah, so Interstellar was, and then recently 3 weeks ago, because his mom's favorite film is The Godfather, so I watched it with the three of them. He's like, okay, this hedges Interstellar.
Okay.
Then last week we watched LA Confidential. Wow, I forgot how good that movie was.
Okay. I admit that's due a rewatch for me because I remember it being one of those like you got to watch it.
You
And then
have
I
to
think I was too
rewatch
yo-
it.
I
You
think I
have
was
to.
too young for it at the time. I was
Yeah.
like, this is a bit boring.
So the things that I'm watching at the moment aren't contemporary. I'm watching.
No,
I'm
but that's
just
cool.
doing this with the kid because I want to support whatever it is going on in his head.
Did you see the New York Times 100 greatest films of the 21st,
21st century.
Did you see the list?
No, but it goes from 2000 to now.
Yeah. from
Yeah,
2000 onwards.
I haven't checked it out.
Okay.
I've seen the
Number one is Parasite.
really.
Wow.
So I'd be curious to know
Wow.
what you and your son think of that.
Well, I've got my opinions on Parasite, but he hasn't watched it yet.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so recently was LA Confidential.
Most recently, and well, they watched The Godfather, the third Godfather, 2 nights ago, and I was like, oh man, I can't put myself through that again. I watched the opening and I was like, okay, I'm out.
My side is more on the TV side.
Cool.
I've really been enjoying Stick, I must say, on
Yeah, it
Apple
is
TV.
fun, hey?
Yeah, just joyful and
It's quite a typical story, but it's got some nice sort of fresh new take on it. Do you know about it?
No.
Meren?
Owen Wilson is a washed-up golf pro who sees like a phenom and bets everything he has on trying to take him professional.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Like
but
a
it-
young kid who's like very Gen Z,
very
and they pick up a few other.
So is
Gen
that
Z
relationship
characters along the
about
way.
like
Yeah.
the intergenerational?
absolutely. Mark Maron plays like the old grumpy man.
Yeah,
who
like
is
his old caddy, who's
total
like a big sort
boomer.
of boomer. Yeah.
Yeah, and to see the conflict between him and the Gen Zers is really fun.
It's because for me, the thing that was really great was Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah.
Yep,
That generational.
That was fun as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, totally. It's got the same charm in that
Right.
sense, but yeah, with a little bit
so
of
Stick
golf
is
in it.
fun. And the golf stuff is beautiful to watch as well.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of golf, but maybe
Okay.
I've never swung a golf stick in my life. But
Mark Maron as well was like, I know nothing about golf, but I'm in this golf show, which is interesting.
and then I guess, I always go back to in my head the classic, like the best TV show I think in the world is Breaking Bad.
Okay.
But actually I would put the prequel to that of Better Call Saul as probably something I enjoyed more.
Okay.
I'm a kind of guy who's looking for stuff that's not necessarily family friendly, but that stuff is not going to make me cringe, And I found Breaking Bad, there's violence in it and there's some dodgy stuff, but actually Better Call Saul is completely clean, 100%
Oh,
clean.
interesting.
No extreme violence. There's some people get killed or
It's
whatever.
all insinuated, and it's
Yes.
all
But the cleverness of it is fascinating. And I think the fact that you start out with a main character where you know where he's going to end up. Like his end journey.
Yeah.
But he doesn't look like that in the beginning. So it's so fascinating to see. I've never seen that
like
before.
what strips him away, what each little tiny digit, like just a slow burn over 6 seasons
Yeah.
into what we know he's going to become. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
We did sort of season 1, episode 1 in script writing at Wits.
Of
When I-
Better
when I
Call
was
Saul.
of Breaking
Breaking
Bad.
Bad.
Yes.
Which also,
Although that
it's
is
like-
not a good example because that is a pure money grab. That thing is written to be like to get a pilot made. It's a very good script,
Sure.
but to start out with a guy in his underpants in the middle of the desert running away from criminals,
Sure.
like it's like we try to make a TV pilot here. The rest of the episodes become much more
Well, that episode
scripted
4, I mean, when the guy's trapped at the bottom
of his
of
basement.
his basement,
Yeah, that
his
was
first kill. Wow,
Power.
what an episode.
Lovely.
Yeah. So-
Okay, so what is the rest of this week for you guys? You said you're gonna go to Durban.
Man, we're just cram packed full of premieres. So tomorrow night is our opening night of Diff premiere, which is for the Lanis, and then on the 18th we have another.
Well, you say
premiere.
Lani's, but it's like for me, I feel like that's the one where I'm like, oh boy, it's all the like politicians and delegates. It's like for me, a little bit up its own butt.
Sure, but kind of sometimes necessary, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, you got the Minister of Arts and Culture will be talking there. The guy who's ever running the UKZN, who
Just-
runs Diff.
Do me a favor, play the drinking game.
Oh, right,
And
with
please-
Tell Our Stories. Okay,
and please
gotcha.
tell me how drunk you get.
Wait, what's the drinking game?
No, every time somebody says we want to tell our
It's
stories,
important
then we
that
take
we
a
tell our
shot.
stories.
Oh,
Yeah, we
okay,
drink.
cool.
Like let's play that game.
Well, I mean, I think that's why they chose this Lucky Fish because it is such a
It's such a great example of it. That's what I'm saying.
And
We can celebrate.
It's set in Durban. We shot in Durban. KZN, funded it.
It's so weird though when people say, we tell our stories. For me, as soon as people do that, they get a bit too deep, right? And they're like, it's the angst of telling our stories from the ground. This movie is a comedy,
Yeah.
which has a really, really cool message at the end of it that finds itself. It doesn't sit on its soapbox. It doesn't tell you the thing that you're learning. And for me, it's always better to wrap shit in comedy than it is in drama, because in drama, as soon as you're going to message whatever's coming out of Lucky Fish in a drama, you stand on your soapbox. And so when you say this is your story, it's like Luke and I, just all the way back to college, you tell a story set in a tiny, tiny place.
Yeah.
Like you said, the full Monty, whatever. I was also inspired by The Castle, the Australian movie The Castle, and then The Dish, which was Sam Neill, where
Oh, yeah, about
it's
the moon
about
landing.
the moon landing,
Yeah,
and it's
that
just
was
set in
great.
a small town.
Totally.
You
And-
do that, but it's at the end of it says this massive thing. And so for me,
Totally.
it's not like, we're telling our stories. It's like, it's like such a joy to watch this thing at the end of it. And you're like, oh my God, I was moved, I
Lovely.
didn't expect that to happen,
Yeah, I think you guys have done it right, because that's where South African storytelling can sometimes go wrong, is that you got to keep it small, because our budgets are small, our abilities are smaller. We can't necessarily do these grander,
But
bigger
also
projects. And sometimes
It's also in the writing, Russell. It's like, how many times you watch a movie and I close my eyes and I cringe because the thing that you're supposed to be learning is being said in dialogue.
Yeah.
Or it's the thing, like, I hate you. No, you never say you hate
the
the person.
expression is show, don't
It
tell.
comes
yeah.
out,
It's a lovely filmmaking lesson that everyone should learn, is show,
But
don't
it's
tell.
easier said than done, because
Totally.
your instinct in the moment, specifically as a writer, your instinct is to say it.
Yeah.
And you got to figure out how not to say it, and say it without saying it.
Yeah. So you guys have been chums forever, eh? You were at varsity together.
Yeah, I just did a LinkedIn post about our 25-year friendship. That's my only social media outlet.
What bonded you guys? What was that moment where you were like, oh, you
Luke.
can be my friend?
Luke, you tell the story. Tell it.
Well, Meren was an NSA kid, right? So National School of Arts just up the road. So he was like a golden boy from there. And I'd done house plays at high school.
Yeah,
and
where were you?
I was in Willow Ridge High School in Pretoria, kind of a no-name brand school. Our claim to fame is Roland Skuman. He's
Okay,
yeah,
we'll
he
take
was there
it.
with
Yeah,
us.
I'll take it, bro.
And then,
Ours is Elon Musk.
oh wow! Wait, were you in Pretoria, boys? Huh?
No, I was at Bryanston,
Oh,
one
okay.
of the many schools he went to,
Okay, I
and
gotcha.
struggled and got bullied and left.
Oh, really? Wow.
Were you one of the bullies?
No, this was long before my time.
Okay.
But no, it was
So
one of
no-
those like, that's actually quite a big name.
Yeah.
Yes.
But not under good.
Not necessarily
circumstances.
one you want to publicize.
Okay,
So
well, in
Meren-
terms of South African famous athletes, that's one
Yes.
of them. Okay.
So Meren was, I kind of almost failed my way through high school. Didn't really have any purpose or passion in my life.
Okay.
I thought, okay, I'd done some acting, so I thought, actually I wanted to sail. My goal was to sail around the world. And my dad,
Cool.
who's a doctor, one of his patients was kidnapped by pirates and said, okay, you're not doing that, so figure something else out. So I was like, okay, well, acting. And then Dion Opperman had his school opening, and he was so charismatic, and we had all seen him do his thing at Grahamstown Arts Festival. So I was like, okay, I'll give this a try. And then when I arrived there, I was on fire. I was like set on fire. The passion for acting and for
Arrived where?
at AFTA.
At AFTA.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so like Meren was stuck in his NSA bubble for about a year, or maybe
No,
7 months of the summer.
April, I remember. It was April
Was
of
it
that
April?
year.
Oh, okay.
And eventually, and immediately after whatever this moment is that you're about to say,
Okay, so then, my dad's a doctor and the school fees are expensive and he's paying for my education here. And a lot of the other kids, it's a private tertiary
Yeah.
education.
AFTA,
outcomes
So-
based as well.
So like, it's expensive. And so a lot of people who are there are not really kind of interested in learning. They just want to have a good time. And one of the lecturers had walked out because people were making too much noise and weren't paying attention. And I was like, I had it. I was up to here. And I said, you people, my father is paying so much money for me to be here. You better pay attention. And apparently that caught Meren's
they
attention.
can't, because
So you were sitting in the room at that time.
So
You were-
I had the same feeling that Luke had, but we were the young ones, right? Because I think the average age in that first year was around 2023. Like,
Okay.
because there were people
And
who
we were
they
fresh
had
out of
gone-
high
people
school,
had
so it
gone
was
to
like
Wits,
19.
people had done other degrees, people had like worked or whatever, so we're straight out of high
You
school.
were sort of 19.
Yeah.
I was 17, and
How are you that much younger?
I turned 18 in May of that year. So I was
Okay.
17 in matric and then
Okay.
18 in,
It happens.
You started early.
Yeah.
Your
Some-
parents
some-
put you in school earlier.
I don't know. Something happened,
Something must have
Yeah,
happened.
yeah.
Yeah.
So when Luke said that, I could not believe that somebody vocalized it. I mean, these people were like 23-year-old bullies, dude. They were in the back. They were talking, blah, blah. This lady had lost her shit, the lecturer. She had left. And it had been happening a couple of times. And there was like a
Yeah.
particular group that were doing it. But for Luke to have the bravery
The chutzpah.
to say that, I was like, okay, this guy and I are going to be friends. We're going to figure it out now. And there was a posse of about 5 or 6 NSA pupils. And we were all like clinging together. And it felt like that moment where I was like, I can let that go now. There's something
Yeah.
new that's happening here that I've got to...
There's others now. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
other people. Your varsity friends are really your friends for life. I mean,
It's
you're
the first
lucky
group,
if you.
It's the first group of people that you choose
Yeah,
to
exactly.
be friends with.
Your high school guys, you're lucky if you can stay friends with them. But the varsity ones are really the ones that
Yeah.
are quite deep.
I have
because-
more varsity or friends than I do
Yeah.
high school
Although
friends.
Meren is a very vast circle of friends, and he attracts people to him, and he's just a wonderful person to be
No,
a friend
sure,
with.
I can get that sense here. But we've got the films that you love across your life, and the one in your varsity time is called the It's Getting Serious film. So we call them your loves, your 4 great loves. There's your puppy love, which is the first film you've ever loved. Your high school crush, which comes to you in high school and sort of challenges, your attraction. But what we're talking about here is It's Getting Serious, which is that sort of much deeper. It's that point in your life where you really start crafting your character and your identity. And here you guys are going, fuck this shit. I'm here to learn, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to take this shit seriously. This isn't just,
Yeah.
And so what movies do you remember from those after years that
Well, I'm going to go
That
back now
stuck
because
out.
you're reminding me. So I guess my puppy love one. I mean, my dad made he worked for Gallo Record Company, and Gallo I think owned
cool.
New Metro at the time in the early
shit.
90s. And what down was like a dungeon. And every Friday, if you were an employee, you can rent a movie for R2 for the weekend. So he would rent 5. He'd take R10 and we'd watch 1 on a Friday, 2 on a Saturday, 2 on a Sunday. And then we'd watch the 8 o'clock movie, right? So I got pummeled with a lot of stuff I should absolutely not have watched at that age, but my dad didn't give a shit. So, but I would say like a significant moment for me was Jim Carrey. It was like Ace Ventura, the first one.
Okay, cool.
That was the puppy love one.
Yeah, high school crush.
Then the high school one, it got a little bit weird because everybody was really into Romeo and Juliet. And I was like, have
the
you
Baz
guys...
Luhrmann one.
Yeah, and I was like, guys, have you watched Seven?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it went you see, because my dad was just like, let's go watch, so
Yeah.
Seven and Fight Club, which was probably later in my high school career, were like these two, and they're both like David Fincher,
Yeah, totally.
So that
But
was...
wouldn't you say that, I don't know, coming out of high school, coming out of the puppy love thing, maybe you're going to get to it now, but like Meren is a student of Friends, the TV show. And
Yeah.
like he knows every
Yeah.
in and out of
Yeah.
it. And that was informative in our career
Yeah.
because we got, like that's the first start into TV was sitcom.
We're talking about movies, but yes, the obsession of Friends and then the complete obsession with Frasier as well. Those two
Cool.
ones were just like, and even now, like I rewatch them and I'm falling asleep.
Yeah.
The thing that you want,
Yeah.
the safety of falling asleep is
Yeah,
something
yeah,
that you're not
yeah.
going to miss. And then I'm going to struggle to think about, like, what was
What's
the movie
what's the
for you
varsity,
in
what's some of the
varsity?
varsity ones?
The varsity one for me, I would say, is there's a film called Carlito's Way by Brian De Palma.
Sure.
And
Haven't seen it. Know of it.
bro,
It's
you
like,
got to watch this film. It's unbelievable. I mean,
are you
it
the
just
big guys in that?
It's
Al
Al
Pacino,
Pacino,
Yeah.
Sean
Sean
Penn.
Mm.
Yikes, the female actress, I can't remember her name,
And
but she didn't go on to do too much with her life.
I think Luis Guzman as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, he's in it as well.
Luis Guzman.
Yeah,
I
he's
always
in
think of
everything.
Community.
Me
whenever-
too.
Whenever I think of him.
But
We can think of
Pacino-
actor Luis Guzman because he went
His
to our
statue,
school.
yeah.
Yeah.
Pacino had just won for Dog Day Afternoon.
That's a good
This is the next film.
No, Luke. Dog Day Afternoon is from the 70s. Remember, he did Scarface.
This is in the 70s, bro.
It's set in the 70s.
Yeah, but it's
like early 90s. It was when it was made. No, I'm telling you, because everybody says it's almost like the run-up, the aftermath of Scarface.
Oh, you're right. 93. It was 93.
Yeah, it's like
and it's
almost
set in 75.
It's like
Okay.
it's like if
You're forgiven.
if like Scarface survived and went to prison, like people who did that, but Brian De Palma was like, no, that's not what the fuck is happening.
Yeah.
It's based on 2 novels by a judge, a New York City circuit judge, who saw the same criminal coming into his court case like 3 or 4 different times, and he wrote a book about this guy, Carlito Brigante. And the film starts out with Carlito being released, getting off on a technicality, and his lawyer managed to get him off. Sean Penn is the lawyer, plays a Jewish lawyer. It's an amazing transformation, and Carlito is determined to do right and to fix his life, and he doesn't want to go down the bad route anymore. He's been a gangster and a criminal, but all he wants to do is get $65,000 together, and he's going to go to
The
Mexico
sunset, with the
and
palm trees.
He's going to rent cars and live his life in peace. And it's the story of a good man who keeps making the wrong decision for the right reasons. And that is a thematic that I've found kind of repeating in my
Interesting.
So you say
a
that,
lot.
but the way that you put it to me, because Luke was actually the one who said he watched Carlito. He had told me you've got to watch Carlito's Way. So, and then the way I sort of interpreted for myself, and I think we had a conversation about it, was a man who's he's turned over a new leaf and is struggling to keep that leaf turned over, and around every corner.
That's a nice
New things are
analogy,
Yeah.
sort of way of looking at it. Okay, cool.
An amazing chase scene in the last act.
Okay.
Fantastic gun gangster stuff. Really powerful movie. I love that film. And then Dumb and Dumber. Dumb and Dumber was my high school crush.
Really?
Cool.
I can still not watch that without rolling on the floor, literally in stitches. I just think it's the funniest thing. The original was the best. You know, the remakes they've done since then haven't been up to scratch.
So I've been for me, like the whole of high school, I even bought like a little tiny biography. It was like about 70 pages on Jim Carrey. I was obsessed. So anything Jim Carrey related, I was consuming. And then friends came along, and Chandler, I was just obsessed with Chandler and Niles. And then
in Frasier.
and I think now when you look at it, I think that as an actor, I'm starting to realize that all of those things you'll see influences.
Yeah.
And I think specifically in Lucky Fish, I mean, Lucky Fish, I gave it my everything. You know, the other ones that I did, I was like, sometimes you phone in a performance, or and other ones that you like really dig into. And this one, it was like, even though it's a comedy, I threw everything in the kitchen sink at it, man. Like everything, it was like, and rewatching Martin Short in Pure Luck and Inner Space.
What a classic.
Okay.
Watching Jim Carrey again, watching like Ace Ventura, more Pet Detective than the first one.
Okay.
More When Nature Calls than the Pet Detective. And then there's some real moments of timing, and because I've had to edit the film, you're watching it over and over again. You stop seeing
you editing it as well.
No. You sit with the editor and you give notes or whatever, and you just over and over again, right? And then you start separating yourself from who's on the screen.
Yeah.
And like I would say to Brett, like the continuity is out because I kept improvising physically.
Yeah.
And I was like, this actor is fucking with my life. And Brett was like, no, Meren, you are fucking with my life. That's what this is conversation that he and I had. But when you look at it, you're like, oh shit, I can tell where the Martin Short moment is. I can tell where the Jim Carrey moment. I can see where the Chandler moment is. Yeah.
That's lovely.
We had to. Meren kept pushing us to be like, guys, it's not slapstick. We got to make it more authentic. And I'm like, bro, we've made a comedy, and it is freaking funny. And there's some slapstick moments. I mean, there's one scene where, everybody projectile vomits over everyone else, and it's like there's only one way to do that. You can't like hold back on that.
I was saying all the moments in between those big verbose things. I mean, but Josh wanted to go big, and I guess we did. It came up on one of our groups.
Yeah,
Josh and I was trying to steer it more toward the bridesmaid moment.
Okay.
With the vomiting and stuff, and Josh then was like, Stand By Me, and I was like, okay, let's watch that scene again, and we watched it a couple of times, the vomiting scene in Stand By Me.
I can't remember the vomiting scene.
The cherry pie, he's trying to eat the cherry pie.
It's not actually, it's not the act, it's like somebody's telling a story.
No, he's telling a story
He's
about
telling
a dude
story
who,
of this cherry pie eating contest, and then everybody vomits from the cherry pies, and so the story itself is larger than life.
Yeah.
So then we got, I think a little bit of both the bridesmaids moment and the,
Cool.
But
Lovely guy.
making the film has been interesting because, like, I think there's so much about our history of like the type of content we make, which we're trying to appeal to a large audience as possible. I mean, City Sisla was a sitcom we made early in our career, and it was, like a basic rip-off of Friends, but 6 friends living in a loft, and one's white, one's Indian, one's Zulu, but like we were talking about this the other day, I think that so much of what the broadcasters and the gatekeepers are like forcing content to be created now is siloed, and well, this is a piece of content that only Zulu, of course, so people can enjoy, or this is a piece of content that's just for the Afrikaans audience. And we don't want to do that. We want to make content that the South Africans can enjoy. So yes, there's an Indian audience at its core here, but it's family and it's friendly and it's fun and everybody can watch it.
Yeah.
it's characters who are Indian, but it's not an Indian film.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to.
Sure. No, that makes sense. And obviously the cinema screenings being both the diff festival screenings, but also when we do a cinema release, obviously it's fun to be together and be in a group. But where's its life after that? Have you got a streamer lined up?
We do, yeah. So it'll be on Prime in September, yeah.
And that's great because I really do think that the streaming has opened up so much more audience for South African filmmakers. It is great that you're doing a cinema release. I think there's obviously still something so special about getting together in a group. And you can imagine hopefully some of these cinemas in the Durban area like just being packed with the people that are seeing themselves.
I hope.
That's the dream, right?
Do you remember?
So that you can be together.
Do you remember?
Some of those tinned fish sandwiches can be served. But I do really think that streaming really has helped the South African
Wait a
industry.
minute, this is coming from
I know,
a
that's what I'm
cinema
saying.
distributor?
That's what I'm saying,
Okay.
as an exhibitor, because just so many more eyeballs are on them.
Sure, from a marketing point of view, but let me put it to you this way. Do you remember that movie Cinema Paradiso?
Sure.
The way that they communicate the event or the experience of all being in a room together as a community and experiencing, and each beat of the movie, everybody is feeling the same thing.
No, it's so special. I mean,
And I think that like the Indian community, for example, and it's not even just the Indian community. Like we've had Zandri watch it. And I've seen white people, my girlfriend's Jewish family, and it's the same response no matter who the fuck you are, no matter what color you are. I'm watching them watching the movie, and I'm like, it's exactly at that moment where this thing happens, where there's a laugh, where there's
the cry.
There's
the
3
people
moments
cry.
where people potentially cry. There are 3 moments.
To your point about the streamers, yes, there is a larger audience there, but
down the line, just saying at some point.
like you're a little boat that's being put into the ocean.
Yeah.
The ocean of content
Yeah, sure.
that will just crush you. Yes, it's available for sure, but once I've made that sale, there's no incentive for me to get that audience to watch it.
Yeah.
And there's no incentive for that streamer to do the same, other than for the flavor of the week for this 2 days.
But at
2
least
days in a
at
week
least
when
you
you
don't
drop.
disappear is the question. Is the argument where at least there was always the challenge in cinema that there can only be so much space, and the South African films, in the mainstream cinemas would last a few weeks and would have to be bumped when the next Marvel came.
Well,
the bioscope was always the cinema that was like, you're our Spider-Man. Like, we're going to give you as much as we can, and that's still the case today. But I just love the fact that it doesn't then disappear entirely. Like it can live on. And
that sale really meant that we had an anchor tenant in our finance plan, and we were able to build the rest of the finance around it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it was is essential. And as a businessman, the fact that we're doing a theatrical release now is great. It costs us money, and we're spending money on this marketing, but it will be like, hopefully there'll be money to come from it, but it does not influence whether or not the film is profitable, because we've already covered our costs with the sale to the streamer.
Yeah,
It just Luke and I just happened to make a brilliant film that everybody thought needs to go to the cinema.
Yeah.
No, this is definitely one of them, and I think especially comedy, especially something with a nice, unique, potent flavor.
I also think it's like a little bit like Luke and I survived this wave. I think, I don't know, when was it? From 2015 until like 2023, where it was like comedy was unsellable. It was like us, Burnt Onion, and maybe one other or two.
Black Brain made.
But and the
comedies,
Afrikaans dudes who did Hotel, right? Like
Nachtvlug and
right. But we survived that thing. And for me, this is just like a way to prove to the gatekeepers again, comedy fucking works.
Sure.
Stop saying things. You're siloing everything, just like Luke said, in terms of for Zulu Xhosa market or whatever. But you're also saying that about comedy. You're saying only these people find that funny. Only these people find this funny. And that's why we're scared of.
But funny also changes. Funny evolves.
You know,
What we like, you go look at an old Steve Martin stand-up special from a couple of decades ago. Like,
sure.
in many ways, it's just not funny anymore.
But then you watch Dumb and Dumber and you still roll on the floor laughing. You see what I'm saying? That
No,
was
of
from
course, there
1990.
is
no,
always
but the
the timeless
kids
jokes.
these days are
No, but
finding other things funny,
but just
for sure.
humor does evolve, and no, as long as you've always kept it as fresh or as evolved in terms of its comedy as possible.
You know, and I think that's what we've done. Like,
That's lovely.
you can see our comedy, the writing of the comedy is so vastly different to what City Cecil was. From that into Elke Skiewerpot, into Die Castile, into Black Tax, into this, you can see things have gotten quicker. Dropping laugh tracks, trying to find the comic timing in a smart way. The evolution of an A, B, and C storyline is no longer available to me. Everything's born out of an A storyline.
Okay.
I'm not separating storylines anymore. It's born out of it, and then that's why it all interacts with one another at the end.
Yeah.
Whereas A, B, and C storylines used to resolve independently of one
Be
another.
very insular, yeah.
Now they're all the problem for one storyline is the solution for another. That's how it evolves, you know?
Yeah.
And you've got to learn all of the shit, or you've got to observe constantly and go, what the fuck? How did Seinfeld get it right in the early 90s?
Yeah.
You know?
Shit. Lovely, guys. Congrats.
Thank you.
Really, like, well done. This is a moment. This week is a nice chance to take some bows, both literally and figuratively. So I hope that these screenings go down well. Of course, it's the perfect festival to be the opening film for. And I just wish that this is a good week for you guys.
I'm excited for you to watch it.
Thank
actually.
you.
Oh.
No, I'm very keen. And of course, there's this needle drop where my band is going to be in a movie, which is exciting.
In
and
one of
fun.
the most seminal moments, halfway through the film, for the sardine run. For those who don't know, happens once a year when the sardines come along the warm currents of Durban's coastline, and some of them beach themselves, and you've got the community rushing out there with their saris and their buckets, all picking up sardines, as many as possible. And we set a scene there. That was a big challenge. Like, how do we make this?
How do you recreate this?
100 extras on the beach and closing off the beach and having, the night before discovering we didn't have the permits to have the vehicles on the beach. That was that was a lot of fun.
But in a weird way, happy accident, it worked to our advantage.
Absolutely.
How so?
Well,
you were able to populate. I felt like you were able to populate the beach now in a way that I felt was more, because we were trying to do tricks.
Okay.
The reason we wanted those vehicles was so that we could close off the depth. So when you're putting extras, you can only put this many extras, and then no extras all the way down. So if we put a car in front, between,
it's achieved.
you wouldn't have to see it. It actually worked better that it didn't go that way, because when you shot from the other side, there were all these like crane shots and stuff. Anyway, it worked to our advantage.
Lovely. Okay, I can't wait.
And then you have the beautiful Short Straw Bikini Weather song playing over that little scene.
Bikini weather.
Yeah. Thank you, Russell.
Thank you.
No, listen, and we appreciate it, and we appreciate the fact that there was some budget for it. It's lovely, nice income for a band, but it also is just cool to be a part of it. And when it's the right song for the right moment, then it's magic.
Bikini Weather on the beach. That's the perfect moment. Perfect song.
Lovely. But listen, thank you guys. Thank you for making some time to pop in and return your video, so I don't have to charge you.
Give us the late fees, okay?
The late fees. No, but honestly, thanks for everything. Good luck. I hope it's a good week. And tickets are already on sale.
Yep.
And we look forward to screening it here at the Bioscope. So well done, guys.
Thanks. You, Russell.
Thank you, man.
We'll see you soon.
Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
All right. What a great chat. Another thing which I should have brought up with Luke, which was very appreciative of was just as we opened up in our new location here at 44 Stanley. This was just as the lockdown levels were allowing us to host screenings. Of course, they had to be 50% capacity. Luke hired the Bioscope quite early on for a wrap party. And when he told me the numbers, which would mean a full house, I was a little anxious because the Bioscope couldn't have, this kind of 100% capacity. But he had informed me that they were bubbling together as a result of that. They could all be in the same room. And of course, it was just so exciting to be in our new location and have this screening with a full house. So Luke can hold the title of having the first full house in our 44 Stanley venue way back in 2020. So lovely dude, lovely guy to catch up with. Very proud of them and happy for them with their film. And as we said, it's going to be screening in cinemas, including the Bioscope, real soon. So the links will be in the description. And we hope you guys go out and give it some love. All right. Thank you for listening. All the other filmmakers and interesting guests we've ever had, some of which are listed in our website. Otherwise, you can always just scroll back and see the other guest episodes. But that is over at thevideostore.co.za. All right. We'll see you guys again soon. Cheers.